Okay, folks, here we are. We are in the North Cove area of Lake Dunmore, and we are crossing through someone's yard here, trying to work our way down to the water. What we're going to find here is a group of people releasing turtles. All right, how are you today?
Pretty good, thanks.
All right, so now what's going to happen here is, I know this is a hog farm video, but we're going to try to keep it community based, aren't we? All right, so hopefully these folks here don't mind me doing a little filming. Okay.
Yeah, he was just under the,
See what's going on.
under the dock. Yeah. How you doing?
All right, how are you?
Good.
You guys don't mind if I do a little YouTube video for the hog farm, do you?
What farm?
The Salisbury hog farm.
Well, of course.
Okay.
You didn't want. Do you want to just touch it or something?
Uh-oh, this guy's handing around a snake. I think I'm back in West Virginia. Somebody got that joke, huh?
Well, that's, you need somebody handy. Just so,
So folks, the deal that we're out here for today is turtle releasing. All right, and that's what we're coming out to check out. And this gentleman here,
Calming down now. Getting used to it.
well, that's a brave little girl. I'm standing back here. I'm getting further away. I got zoom. I don't have to get up close. Look at that.
yeah, if you don't teach kids to be afraid, here where you guys are, here, there's nothing that's been. But western Rutland County, essentially west of Lake Bomaton, is the only area there to the lake where you can pick up timberlake. So if it has a rattle, don't pick it up. Otherwise, of course, if you're in Belize or Georgia or whatever, you got to know a few other snakes that you can't pick up. Yeah. Hello. Copperheads, we start picking them up just south of Albany, so how would that? Would that make
southern border of
Look at the
Hey, good morning.
Hello.
We're playing with a snake that we caught on the way in.
Very nice.
We were going to come over to your camp and show it. You recognize this kind of setup?
Yes.
Just like at
Is
your
that where you
camp?
found him?
Yeah. Stand right under that. Yeah.
Well, somebody came and stole ours.
Yeah, maybe that's
You
her.
want to try to handle it? Well, first of all, you can just touch it while I hold it. Just touch it, pet it a little bit, just to feel it.
Now, folks, this is the back end of Lake Dunmore. This is where the running comes. You know, it creates a little marshy area back here.
It's going to crawl, so you don't grab it. You just let it move. Now I'm going to give it to you. And you just start support it. If you start falling, you don't spread your hand over here so that so it can't fall. And he's perfectly happy in your hands. He's actually more concerned about all of us. He's watching us, and you're just being a tree.
Oh, no, I'm concerned about him.
You don't need to be. You don't need to be. He's a garter snake.
Right here, buddy. I'm right here.
So they won't bite at all? Or?
Well, it's very unlikely that they bite, but you can't say they won't bite. Yeah, they can. And a snake this size, if it bit us, couldn't break our skin. Once you get another 6 inches or so in length, they can break your skin, but it's like a millimeter. The teeth are about a millimeter. So, you know, what I often say is that we put plants out that are more dangerous. You know, like roses. Sure.
Be worried about the poison.
Hey, Heidi.
Hey, Jim.
We're playing with a snake while we wait.
Oh. I thought this was a turtle program.
Well, yes, but the snake wanted to come.
This is the preview.
Yeah,
Snake handling lesson.
yeah.
All right. What have we got for snake?
Okay, I'm going to steal them from you for a second and see if these guys. Isn't he a nice snake?
He doesn't seem to be concerned at all.
Just so long as when they get done, they can tell snake
I'm
and
not.
turtle, right?
The snake. Oh, no, he's already gotten past that stage. He's.
You don't have to hold it if you don't want to. You can pet him.
Here, let me take
Yeah,
a
well,
picture.
if you want to just touch it first, I'll hold it.
You can just touch. You
Want
want
to
to
just
just
touch
feel
it?
how soft he is? Okay, you
You're
don't
not
have
ready
to.
yet. Okay, maybe later.
Button right in front of I still didn't get a good picture. So, all right.
Usually there's an initial reaction when you catch a snake, which is, you know, they're thinking you're a predator and they're in trouble, and there's an initial burst of energy and you have to calm them down. But once you get them calmed down like this snake, unless somebody grabs him and constricts him or something, he's going to stay pretty calm like this snake is. Yeah, and that comparison, I urge people to think about that. I mean, if you were to pick up a chipmunk or a mouse, your chances of getting bit would be a lot higher. And plus they have longer teeth. Yeah. So we got some person here that hasn't, some little person, big person or otherwise, that would like to handle this and hasn't.
Oh, I would. First. Age before beauty. Okay. Just touch him. Oh, they are velvety. Hello.
And some people think of snakes as slimy.
Hello.
And there's no slime on this guy.
Oh.
Their primary defense, those people who've handled enough snakes know the primary defense is not biting, it's the musk. And so they have musk glands back by their vent, and they can pump out a little of that musk. And I don't know if you can smell, but I have a little on my hand.
He's curling around. There you go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's the first thing we'll do, work our way and get around this. But I don't like garter snakes is when they startle you.
Oh yeah, a lot of people get away from it. You just gotta make sure you don't let him drop. He's supportive.
So I wonder what he's thinking, or she. Can you tell if it's a he or she?
Cool. Yeah, I want to see if there's anybody else, because we got some new people and I'm not sure. So he does calm down.
Yes, isn't it?
Gotten over the idea that we might be predators. And all you have to do is support it. Yeah. Yeah, none of the snakes that we have here to do any damage with a bite. The worst they could possibly do if they're a big snake is actually break your skin, and they'll bleed a little bit, but still it's only a millimeter or two deep. So I tell people that I get more damage just mowing pets, whether it's the rose bush or picking blackberries than these guys. Are you hiding? Can we back you off the block? That might be worse. Anybody else want to handle this little snake?
You got one of those big black water snakes though?
I'd love to, but I don't. Have you seen them?
Oh, I've seen them, yeah. Oh yeah, big ones.
In the lake?
Dunmore? Oh, I saw one here, but I used to see them in Lake Champlain.
Yeah, Button Bay.
Yeah,
I see one there.
Big one.
Button Bay is a good place to see them, but we don't very often. This fella had a picture of one from Waterhouse.
Really?
Which was a surprise. I've never seen a water snake. I'm sure Waterhouse is like thrilled about it. You can hold this if you want. I can start talking about turtles if you want to just take care of it.
Aww.
Well, he does too. Why don't you come over here this way?
Just got into the shade. It looks like there's plenty of shade to go around, so that's just nice down here.
This is great. I've never been on this.
Yeah, well, this
I got turtle shells over here. Come on over and I'll show you what I got.
His wife's property, so.
It looks like a king snake.
I want to hold this one for a little bit, but while I do, and you can hold, here, take a look at that. So, yeah, like that's not huge turtle diversity in the state of Vermont, as opposed to all the Vermont turtles. And in the Shameless Commerce Division, you can have one of those posters for $1. But I'll take you through them. We have a couple turtles that are Lake Champlain only. So we shouldn't catch them here unless somebody moves them. And this is the map turtle. And if you look at it carefully, you can see where it got its name. That's also a map turtle, that one. It's supposed to look like topographic lines. These lines on the shell. And you would only see those if the turtle is fairly clean. And one of the things you're always looking for on turtles for identification is whether this back edge is toothed, whether there are teeth here as opposed to a painted turtle, which is smooth all the way around. This one has, or maybe like the difference between leaves on a tree. You know, this one has the teeth in it, and this one's a smooth margin all the way around.
Is the map turtle like around? Like around the lake area?
Lake Champlain. Lake Champlain and the mouths of its tributaries. And usually when you see a turtle basking along the edge of Champlain, it's going to be this one rather than a painted turtle.
And what about the snapping? Is it in Lake Champlain?
It is in Lake Champlain, but it doesn't bask nearly as much. You will see logs that might have 15 of these guys almost on top of each other, you know, are stacked up, and that's generally map turtle. And another thing you want to know about turtles is the middle of the shell here. This has what's called a keel. It has a ridge like a house, and so this has a single keel, toothed. Here's your scientific terminology to sound good. Posterior margin of the carapace.
I knew that.
This being the carapace, that being the carapace, this being the plastron, these being, and this makes a lot of nice sense, bridges between the plastron and the carapace. So, and these are the marginal, these scoots, these are called scoots. These are the marginal scoots. And so this is a tooth, posterior margin of the carapace. In the map turtle, single keel, and it gets big. It gets bigger than this. It gets this size. So it gets to be a big turtle, has beautiful stripes, kind of like a painted turtle, has stripes on its neck and its legs, but no red. No red color, just yellow and green. So Lake Champlain, and then there's another Lake Champlain turtle. Yeah,
so what does the size tell us about their age? Like how old?
Oh, well, it differs some depending on where you are in the country and how much food they have and how fast they grow and all that. But this one could be, this was full grown. This is a snapper. And this is full grown, and it could be anywhere from 10 to 40, you know. And they grow fairly fast when they're young, but as they get older, they have intermittent growth. But, and that just means they continue to grow as they age, but they grow far less as they age. And so as they get really big, they barely grow at all, you know. And so this is average adult snapper size. Even though the snapper stories out there would lead you to believe, you know, it's just like fish and snake length and all that stuff. The stories are well ahead of the reality, but this is probably about a 12-inch shell there. And with a 12-inch shell, you'd have maybe a 10, 11-inch neck and a 10, 11-inch tail. And so the whole snapper does look like a small alligator. And at max, the biggest turtle I've seen was an 18-inch shell. And there was an 18-inch shell hanging, remember the Dog Team Tavern? In the bar, they had a shell on the wall that somebody, turtle, put up there, and it was 18 inches. But an 18-inch shell, that would be a, who knows, maybe 40, 50-pound turtle. But, so we've switched from map, which is Lake Champlain, to this turtle, which is everywhere. Snappers everywhere. If you've been swimming outside of a swimming pool in Vermont, you have been swimming with snappers. This lake, Champlain, water holes, whatever. Yeah.
How dangerous is that for swimmers?
It's not. To be with these guys in the water, they're absolutely secure, and if they're secure, then they move away and you're cool. You know, the problem with these guys is Mama, when she wants a place to lay her eggs, she's looking for an open area that gets a fair amount of sun, and so the butlers here who are hosting us tell us that they see turtles up in their yard in sandy areas. They're good digging. And so that's when we see them, when the females are trying to lay their eggs, and they're in danger of being on land. And so that's when they'll strike at you if you get close.
Well, what time of year do they do that?
Oh, that's like May through mid-June. Most of them are done now. And then snapper eggs, you know, they'll lay their eggs in an open place because it needs to be incubated by the sun. And so they need an open area. Oftentimes that's a lawn, it might be your garden. Sometimes it's a roadside, you know, and they're just going along the edge of a road. And unfortunately for them, it's often a roadside. Particularly if you have a road that goes right along a wetland or through a wetland. They'll come up on the south side and they'll try to lay their eggs where they can get the most sun. And sometimes you'll see the holes where the skunks and the raccoons and the coyotes and the foxes have dug up the eggs. Because everybody loves eggs as much as humans do. And turtle eggs, you know, if they can find them, they'll dig them up and eat them. And in theory, from what we hear some places, 70% of the eggs are eaten, up to 70%. But that's 30% that aren't. You know, so there's some success. So I'm going to take you back for a second
How many eggs do they lay?
to Lake Champlain. Yeah.
Oh, how big are, how many and how big are the eggs?
Well, this is a little snapper just out of the egg. And the eggs for a snapper are just a little smaller than a ping pong ball and round. And not all turtle eggs are round. Painted turtle eggs are oval. But snappers are round and spiny soft shells are actually round eggs. And they do kind of a ping pong, if you cross the ping pong ball with a puffball, a young puffball. You know, and that kind of, it feels like a mushroom that's young. They feel kind of like that. But the other Lake Champlain turtle is the spiny softshell turtle, which is really rare, and it's only in the areas of the Missisquoi and the Lamoille rivers now, the two populations. But they travel a lot, up to like 40 kilometers. So the Canadians were concerned about conservation of that particular species, and their turtles come to Vermont to spend the winter. You know, right where the causeway is, which is kind of cool. So the soft shell.
Echo. I think you see them in Echo.
Yeah, they probably have some there. Yeah. And so, yeah, you could paddle up at Missisquoi and you might have a chance to see them in the soft shells. They look like big pancakes, big turtles. Then, this is a cool turtle. Now, we've never seen this particular turtle in this lake. This is the musk turtle, and that's as big as it gets. And it's not keeled, but it is a fairly highly domed shell, and it's smooth around the posterior margin of the carapace. And then a lot of people, I think, if they saw that, they would think maybe it was a little snapper. But this is the musk turtle, and it has some of the snappers don't. Snappers have no stripes, no colorful pattern at all. Snappers just kind of solid, dull, tannish brown. But these guys have two nice white stripes on the neck. And so if you saw one of these little guys, he stuck his head out for you, you'd see the stripes, two stripes on the neck, and you'd know, hey, it can't be a snapper. And it doesn't have yellow, it doesn't have orange, just two white stripes. Love to find more of these guys. Right now, we only know these guys from Champlain, Bombazine, and Hortonia, and that drain, Bombazine Hortonia drainage. And interestingly enough, Mallett's Bay, one of the big shallow bays. What I also don't expect to find here is a river turtle. That's the wood turtle. And that's a river turtle. You can see on the underside that pattern. Yeah, and this one actually got hit by a mower and survived. You can see a pretty good cut right there. So this one spends its winter in rivers, and there were some that were associated with the Lester River. I haven't gotten any records out of the Lester River in some time now. But, so, I don't expect to see it here, and it feeds almost entirely on land, which is a problem for a turtle. The more time you spend on land, the more trouble you're going to have with cars, agricultural equipment, whatever. You spend most of your time on water, you're safer. And so most of the aquatic turtles, the only time they need to come ashore is when the females are laying their eggs or something happens to their pond. Run out of food or pond's getting dry. So you can pass that around. It's very sturdy. The shell, you can feel is very sturdy, which makes sense for a turtle that feeds on land.
Did you say it's also called a wood turtle?
Wood turtle, yep. A should have if I didn't.
You did.
This is even rarer still. That one's relatively unusual. We live in a corner of the country that has, that one may become federally listed soon. There's a petition right now to list that turtle. This was listed in the state. It's not federally listed, but this is fake. It's a decoy. You know, it's a rare enough turtle that I would not be lucky enough to have a shell. But nicely named spotted turtle with a yellow spot, full size again. That's full size, and it's a wetland turtle, and it wanders around in wetlands. It would come on shore a little, but mainly it's just moving between shrubby wetlands, big fen sorts of areas. What's that?
Have you seen it?
I have seen it, but the kind of area where you might find this would be like, you know, along this side of the lake, there are these little sunken potholes that are wet, and they stay wet, particularly once you get down by the south end of Fern Lake. There's that big swamp out there, big marshy swamp, shrubby swamp, and that would be the kind of habitat that these guys would like. And about the only time you're likely to see them would be either in the spring, when the vegetation is not high, you see them basking, or maybe if you got real lucky, if they were walking around later in the year. Spotted turtle. And then, let's see. The two turtles I do hope to catch. No, this one. This one's the box. And it's still hypothetical in Vermont in that there's a cluster of records that we're getting on box turtles in the Putney, Newfane area. But it's such a popular pet that you don't always know whether or not, when somebody reports a turtle, whether it was a released pet or part of a natural population. And one of the issues with these guys is that if you live 100 years, which these guys do, and little Johnny gets a pet turtle at 10, and he's off to college at 18, and he has grandkids by the time he's 65, and you still got the turtle, you know. And so I think some of them get released, and so we don't know whether our populations are native or not, but you only have to go about 20 miles south of the Mass Vermont border to start finding box turtles. Unique in that they can completely seal up. They don't have a bridge. They have a hinged plastron that seals them right up. The only turtle we have that doesn't need water at all. It overwinters on land.
A turtle that's been held in somebody's aquarium, if that gets released, what's its chances of surviving? Like this box turtle.
Once you take in a pet turtle, the best course of action for that turtle is to keep it. Is to just keep it as a pet or find somebody else to take it as a pet. Its best chance of surviving is somebody keep it. The other issue is that in some places, not here yet, but in some places, animals that have been kept as pets picked up diseases from other pets. And then if they get released back in the wild, they can release those diseases or introduce them to an area. That happened in the desert southwest with the desert tortoise. And it got an infection that came from pets.
Bad idea.
So it's best just to keep it. This is, I thought that was pretty cool. That's just the skull of a snapper. The top part of the skull of a snapper. And you might be interested, just be gentle with it, but you might be interested in that.
Jim?
Yeah?
Is the box turtle still a turtle versus a tortoise? If it's
Yeah. The tortoise, the term tortoise, as we've discussed previously, is a loose term. And generally speaking, it's not a technical term, but generally speaking, it's applied for terrestrial critters. So critters that live entirely on land. And so this particular turtle, our box turtle, is more closely related to the paintids and the others than it is to the Galapagos tortoise. It behaves like a tortoise, but it's more closely related to our turtles than it would be to one of those big, giant tortoises. Yeah.
Are they in danger? Are turtles in danger?
Did you see this?
In this area, in New England?
Well, some are. The wood turtle has issues because it spends time on land.
Yeah.
It's not listed, it's not endangered like it has that kind of legal protection. But I'm concerned about it because we have built a lot of roads in river valleys because that's a logical place to put a road. And if there's a turtle population right there, then as they're moving in and out of the river, that's tough for them. And a lot of them get killed. And then the spotted one that was going around, the little black spotted one, that is listed in Vermont, not federally, but it's protected in Vermont. Did you? A spotted one? Get a picture of it. When you say pond, you're talking about this one here.
Okay guys, I'm going to cut this video off because it's getting to be a lot longer than any of my other videos, isn't it? Alright, so I hope you liked it. I hope you got some good information. Alright, and if you need to know any more about turtles, well, I'm sure we could find that out for you, couldn't we? Alright folks, have a good day.